Okay, so we have a trade. The Sixers are sending Al Horford, a 2025 lightly protected first, the 34th pick in the draft tonight, and the draft rights to a guy whose name I cannot pronounce, to the Thunder for Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson. Daryl Morey is already cleaning up the mess that was created before he got there. We're going to start with OKC. Sam Presti got another pick. And it's all the way in 2025. I mean, it's got light protections on it, so who knows what that means. Top 3 protected, top 10 protected, lottery protected, I don't know. But there's a decent chance that OKC is going to have another pick in 2025 to add to their treasure chests of other draft picks, as Sam Presti continues to make a mockery of future assets. Now, as far as can the Thunder then flip Horford for something else down the road, I mean, Horford's last year is non-guaranteed, but some of it is guaranteed. It's like $12 million off if you choose to decline the last year of Horford's contract. So I feel like if he is going to get moved to a different team, it would have to be a situation where Horford has less years than the guy that the other team would then be trading to the Thunder. The Thunder aren't even that bad of a team right now. It's Ricky Rubio, Shea, Kelly Oubre, Horford. If you think he's closer to Celtics Horford than Philly Horford, then that team is probably better than a few bad Eastern Conference teams, you know what I mean? Anyway, we move on to Philly. The first thing to point out is they turned Horford's contract into an expiring. So next year they have their full mid-level of $9 million or whatever it will be. It's going to be a lot of good free agents next year. Granted, a lot of them are going to be expecting bigger contracts, but somebody's going to have to get paid that $9 million. And also, they don't have to worry about the luxury tax after this year. I mean, I think the next extension they're going to have to think about is Zaire Smith. We don't know his situation, and after that it'll be Thibault a couple years later. Daryl Morey had to do this. You know, the fact that he didn't have to give up a real player or 2 firsts is pretty good. And between Ferguson and Danny Green, you're getting 2 guys who could be rotation dudes. I mean, I know Danny Green's shooting is inconsistent, but I mean, you'll still take the chances of him making shots for you if you're Philly. And in the case of Terrence Ferguson, you know, he wasn't good this previous season, but he was kind of intriguing 2 years ago. So there's a chance that his 3-point shooting can bounce back. I mean, at one point he did look like a guy who could grow into an athletic 3-and-D wing. So there might be something there, there might be nothing there, but to get him as a throw-in in this move, I think that's a nice little thing for Philly. And now you just think about the possibilities with the Sixers. Without Horford there, I mean, you're talking probably 4 perimeter players around Embiid, which Brett Brown was not a big fan of. I think Doc will be a little more okay with that. I mean, we saw the Clippers starting 5, and they had no problem just with one big guy out there. If you want to say Montrez is a big guy, the guy's as tall as a wing, but it just seems like Philly's going to go in that direction. Now, there's a decent chance they still end up making some sort of move. I mean, I've heard that Morey is working on a significant, quote-unquote, whatever that means, move that would really help them out, and they could keep Ben and Joel. Maybe that's a Buddy Hield move. Maybe that's even a Zach LaVine move. That was floated around a little bit on Twitter. Who knows? We'll see if anything happens. But you just think about it right now. It's Ben, Joel, Tobias, Richardson, could be Thibault as the last guy. I mean, you just go down the roster and you're thinking, if it's not Thibault, it might be Danny Green. Could be Shake Milton, could be Korkmaz. I assume they pick up his non-guaranteed option this season. Could be Mike Scott. It just seems like it's pretty obvious that they're going in that direction, and I guess that's probably the closest thing that you're going to get to Daryl Morey's ideal style of basketball with this team, because Morey and the Sixers have already made it known that they want to give Ben and Joel as many chances as possible to win together before they end up moving one of them. And you would hope that Horford not being here anymore would help the fit, because if you saw the on-off numbers, basically when those 3 played together, it didn't work. And you're not going to move off of Ben or Joel just yet. So Horford had to be the guy gone, and hopefully this can make you just faster and more spaced out and all that stuff. Does the fact that Philly now doesn't have a backup big man, does that matter at all? I don't think it's too big of a deal, but that was also part of why they signed Horford, because they were bad whenever Embiid would sit. Another small thing this does is it does knock down Philly's money a bit this season by about $7 million. Now, they're still over the luxury tax. We'll see if that influences any sort of move they want to make, although we did see that thing about how the luxury tax penalty is not going to be as drastic this year. Now, just for speculation, what else can Philly do to improve this roster? Well, they have their 21st pick this year, and they still have everything besides the 2025 protected pick, which I'm just going to guess turns into a second rounder. I don't know if Philly would really want to lock up potentially 2 years of protections off of this, but maybe you would have to if Presti was going hard enough on really wanting that pick to become a first. Between those picks and between Josh Richardson and, I guess they don't want to move Thibault. Maybe Zaire Smith is an asset. Maybe teams will look at Shake Milton as an asset. He's on a rookie deal. There might be enough there to get something kind of big. You can still maybe use Danny Green's expiring in another move. Danny Green will be in the NBA on some team next season, I imagine. So between Danny Green and Richardson, that gets you to about, into the 20s. And then if you put like 1 or 2 picks next to each other and then shipped it off to somebody, you could get something good. I think it would depend on how much the other team would really look at Josh Richardson as a real potential player, but there could be something there. So I guess it's a good move for both sides. In a perfect world, you're not trading a pick to get off of a bad contract, but given the circumstances, this is about the best you were going to get. The one other thing that I want to say is I wonder if this just established what the going rate is now going to be over the next couple of years to get off of bad money. Is it going to be a first and a second? A distant first with some protections and a second in the near future, I should say. Because I feel like that's kind of the way it happens. Like one move happens, then everything else kind of follows suit. Like I remember when the Warriors wanted to clear the cap space for Iguodala, didn't they have to move 2 picks or something like that? Because that's what it was at that time. So maybe that's the case now. You go down the league and let's say Draymond with Golden State. He could end up being really good for that whole contract, but there's a chance that he just loses so much athleticism he just can't move anymore by the second to last year or something. Maybe it's going to take a move similar to this one to get off of his money. I think Eric Gordon could be another one. He's a little different than Horford because he's more of a shooter. He's a wing player, a little more desired than a older big guy. But I would imagine if Houston, depending on how things go, they probably don't want to hold on to Gordon for the next 4 seasons, making around $20 million per year, So I think that'll be something interesting to just see how that goes over the next couple of years. But yeah, man, it's a good move for both teams. Daryl Morey's already cleaning up the mess that was there when he got there. Sam Presti got another pick. Draft in a couple hours. Should be fun.